Hey folks, October 30th and my 30th video. It seemed appropriate. I'm just gonna turn that off because it's a little distracting. Yeah, been away. Did a video that I did not upload of the Venom box. That was the second Amazon box that came in. I don't actually see Venom in the shot. Just a moment. Yeah, he's whoops, sorry, he's down thereabouts. It's not really. It was a little bit better. I mean, it was a lot better actually than the first box, but I wouldn't buy those things. I'll get back to the other DC and Marvel ones sometime soon. But the new ones that are carried at Amazon, just not worth your time or money. I mean, you can already see that I've got tons of clutter, and even for me and my love of clutter, it's just not worth it. Yeah, I've been out for a while, both physically and mentally, but been getting better. One of these days, I want to do a video about different medications that I tried, just for people who are sort of following the same trajectory. There's at least one that I cannot recommend. Holy cow. It felt like I was dying. It was terrible. It was all in response to the fact that I had a pretty good mental breakdown. It's really easy to have those these days. I feel like things are just so weird, right? Like when, and I know a lot of people sort of harken back to their youth and nostalgic and stuff like that. But isn't it, it feels so much weirder now than when I was younger. Even back in like the early 2000s, I feel like while I felt that Bush and a lot of Congress people were very weird at that time, it was so low key compared to now. Now it's just so weird. Like the US is weird and Brazil is weird and the Philippines are weird and the EU's being weird. Like that whole thing with copyrights, you just know that's because of some weird business stuff where some telecom company really wants people to stop sharing memes of Tom Cruise or whatever. I don't know. But it's probably because somebody wants money. And the UK's being weird and Russia's being super weird. And I mean, just the Middle East is always weird. It's everyone's so weird. Like when kids do make believe, it's sometimes somebody cheats and makes up rules, and in the end everyone's fine. And it's like when adults do make believe, people die. Like, what is going on? There was a few days ago, there were people outside cosplaying. Like they were dressed in these giant robes. They had these like old English captain hats and giant staves, and they were marching in front of the women's clinic and just like shouting about some dentist. And I mean that literally, like there was a guy on a megaphone talking about some dentist who apparently had died, and that apparently it was like, you know, God had killed him. And I was just like, holy crap. Like, what's going on? Adults are so weird. The older I get, the weirder adults feel. Like, it makes no sense. I thought as I got older that I would hit that point where there'd be like this wall of ether, and you come into it as a kid and you hit that wall, and as you pass through, the world gets clear and you realize, I've reached it. I'm with the adults now, and suddenly everything makes sense. Because that was when I was a kid in the 90s. That was what I thought was what was the deal, was like kids are sort of ignorant and silly and just having fun, and that the world is in control of by people who have their stuff together. And then you become an adult and you're like, oh my God, nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody. That is terrifying. That is the fact that you cannot know what you're doing and clear cut the rainforest. Like that you can have that power while having no idea. Oh, it's so stressful. Like earlier this week, or sorry, no, last week, I had a dream that at the time, as often happens in dreams, I wasn't lucidly dreaming, which is unusual for me. But at any rate, I thought it was real, and so I'm sitting there, and I see this missile go through the air and crash into the horizon, and a mushroom cloud lifts up. And I remember my reaction, which was, I figured, like, of course. I think of course is literally what I said. It's just like, oh, of course. Like, clearly this is what adults are going to do now. That was the answer to whatever problem they were having. That somebody got subtweeted, and now we're in nuclear war. And the dream went off from there. But yeah, just the fact, when I woke up and realized that, like, seeing that, my reaction was, yeah, that's what adults do. When adults start playing make-believe, people die. And that's all you're seeing right now. Like, I had to cut it off. Like, I said it in my last video, I believe, or 2 videos ago. I think I was sick in my last video. But I had mentioned that I wanted to get off social media and sort of disconnect. I started to fall back into it. And I could feel that stress coming back, just seeing, like, I don't want to necessarily be reminded of how dumb adults are. I hate it. Like, I wanted adults to be smart. I wanted people to, like, hit 18 or whatever, 21, just hit some sort of age in the 20s, maybe. Like, you transition through that cloud, and it all makes sense. But it turns out, much like me, everyone's an idiot. But it's like a lot of people don't know it. That's the scary part. That you can talk with stupid people, and they don't know it. Like, I know it. I know I'm stupid. Like, that's fine. That's part of the fun of being alive, is knowing I'm an idiot and, like, learning new things. Like, that's why I love coding. There's going to be videos coming up soon where I'm going to teach people how to make video games. Like, honestly, I would say at this point that my understanding of coding is good enough that I can explain it without feeling like as much of a moron as I am. I mean, I get paid to do it, so hopefully I know something. But that's the thing. You can get paid for things and not know what you're doing. It's just, what's going on? And I think that's why people are getting so depressed. Like, that's why I was getting so depressed. Is the illusion is broken. The illusion that adults know what they're doing is broken. We now realize that, and I'm not even going to use his name, but we now know people like the president are not exceptional. Like, they're not, well, they think they're exceptional, but they aren't special. That's just people. Like, when we're walking around in Glendale, we frequently nearly get run over by people because they're too busy looking at their cell phones while driving this death machine. Like, you should be so focused while you're driving a car. That is such a big deal. But people they're just so dumb. And yeah, it's distressing. Like, I want to go back to being positive after this video. This is sort of me recapping on why I've been gone. It's just like, I feel like we skipped a step. We went for globalization, and I don't mean that apparently that's sort of code for anti-Semitism or something like that. It was explained to me, but when I'm talking about, I mean literally businesses like telecoms and stuff that are international. No subtext at all. Just multinational corporations. So we went for this, like, globalized profits before we established global responsibility. Because the thing is, now, humans, we have the technology to destroy the world. Like, nuclear bombs. We can clear cut all the trees in the world. Like, there was a time when you had to use axes, right? That cutting down every tree in the world would be an incredible feat. Now it's trivial. It's utterly trivial. You could destroy every mountain, you could cut down every tree, you could pollute every source of water, which we've done. And it's trivial. We can no longer treat countries as like these insular things. What China does doesn't only affect China. What the US does doesn't only affect the US. If Brazil cuts down the rainforest, the Amazon, which it sounds like is going to happen now, pretty much everyone's boned. Like, the only thing that could save the world from that event, the world, right? Humanity. There's bacteria and other things that would be fine. The only thing that would save humanity at that point is extremely nerdy people. I think a lot of people are banking on the nearly microscopic number of actually smart people thinking up solutions, because you can't just stop making carbon dioxide, or just you can't stop making pollution in general, CO2. So yeah, carbon dioxide. You have to remove it now. Like, we've already hit the point where if we could stop tomorrow, that wouldn't be enough. The world would still be in serious trouble within the next century. That's the thing. Within my lifetime, there was a time when it sounded like the whole collapse thing was going to happen after I died. But now, I'm going to be around for a lot of it. And I will have done almost none of it. That's sort of the thing that's the irony. It's in a lot of ways, for a lot of things, the people who will cause you the most grief will never be impacted by anything you can do to protest them. And I'll talk about that again more in some other video. Just the idea of like protesting with your wallet doesn't actually work, and I'll explain why sometime. But yeah, basically we skipped that step. We should have figured out some way of building, like, like the UN, but like real. Yeah, it's crazy. It's just utterly crazy. And these things, they get to you. And it doesn't, and obviously, me, I loathe social networks. I think YouTube is slow enough that, this thing might not even exist for too much longer if the weirdness with the EU doesn't clear up. Which, again, I would bring back probably to business. But if I can't do videos here, since these are sort of for me, these are therapeutic for me, I will at least start doing videos on my own website. Not a big deal. But yeah. So this sort of stuff, it like gets to you. It digs into your heart. And it just takes sort of the joy out of things. Like, I'm playing Red Dead Redemption 2, and this will be the story that I'll leave you on for the day. I'm playing Red Dead Redemption 2, and I don't know anything about the series. There's only been one other game, but so the way it starts, you're sort of given no idea of what's already happened. And this is a prequel to the first game, which is not a secret. It's just how they advertised it. But things are going wrong, and you don't necessarily know why, and you don't know where things are going. And it's such an incredible experience of, like, not knowing, which I appreciate. But part of it that gets me is I'm looking at this game, and it's in, like, the 1890s, I think. And the thing that's a little bit weird about it is, like, you realize that this is basically the end of when that insular national design worked. Because almost just smack dab when the 1900s start and we start moving into the world wars and just the incredible expansion of the Industrial Revolution, just the insane speed with which we increased our productivity levels and our pollutants and things like that. Like, this game is sort of like the bookend for the beginning of human civilization in the last moment that we could sort of there's probably some fun French word for this, but like that we could just sort of tra la la and be like, oh, whatever Spain does is just Spain, or whatever the US does is just the US. Oh, who cares what Canada does, and that sort of thing. This is the last moment in human history where that was possible, where that was acceptable in any way. Because we've now hit the point where entire nations are going to be just utterly trashed by activities happening so far away that there is no device they could use from the land, from ground level, to actually see those places. Like, you would have to fly or take a boat for a long time just to see the country that did the thing that is ruining everything for you. And so that's what's sort of weird, I'm playing this game and I'm thinking, this is it. This is the last moment where human civilization could afford to be innocent and ignorant. It was the last moment where adults being complete idiots was not a big deal. I mean, culturally, there were tons of problems. You've got racism, slavery, just bigotry towards non-standard people of any type. Like, there's tons of terrible things, right? But they were insular. They were things that you could recover from with a single law or one overhaul of society. Even if it's like terribly bloody, right? Even if it's a 5-year or a 10-year civil war and tons of people die, the conclusion, if we assume optimal outcome, is that you're done, right? But you can't do that with the climate change stuff. You could have a revolution tomorrow, and unless a lot of people start making really dramatic changes, it's boned. And that's the thing, is that people are having kids. And like, some of these people have kids or grandkids, and they still don't care. And I'm like, what? I would fist fight a grizzly bear to protect my cats. How can you have human children and not absolutely lose your shoot? Right? I would be falling apart if I was a parent right now. Because you were almost guaranteed, unless something crazy happens in the next 50 years to dramatically reverse this trend, that your kids are going to have an awful adult life. Like, holy crap. Famines, droughts, polluted water, polluted food, wars, likely very bad wars. Like, how can that not drive people nuts? I don't get it. Do people just not like their kids? And that's not me judging or accusing. I literally don't understand. And it's because I'm an idiot. But I know I'm an idiot. So how do you get everyone else to know they're an idiot? What do you do? How do you do that? If you know, tell me. Or if you have an idea. I don't think anyone knows, because that would break the narrative. I'd love to be wrong, though. I would love to go to bed and wake up and have adults not be morons. But there's a pretty good chance, if you're over 30, you real dumb. And I'm 32, so I'm not saying I'm better than you. I'm just saying, we are morons. And I wish folks would realize that. So that's that. That's my existential crisis. And yeah, if you are having a bad day, I hope you have a good day tomorrow. If you feel alone, I hope that changes for you. And if you need to chat, leave a comment below and I will get back to you. If you think I was wrong or you're mad that I called you dumb, that's perfectly fine. Also, you can leave a comment down there. I have skin thinner than a wet tissue, so I will for sure take it personal and probably cry, but I won't say mean things back to you, so you get an easy win. It's like stomping on a chipmunk. It probably wasn't gonna fight back. Yeah. Whew. So next video, gonna try and be more positive. Maybe once a week. We'll treat it like candy. Once a week, I'll get my my rant out just to feel better. Yeah. That'll be all. Hope life treats you well, and I hope some kind of miracle comes. Man, you play Red Dead and you start wanting to talk all Southern. I gotta admit, real quick before I go, it was kind of reminding me of Lindsey Graham, and I almost threw up a little bit in my mouth.